Around BVA, STARS to host winter VI veterans camps. Steamboat Adaptive Recreational Sports, STARS, will hold 3 visually impaired veterans camps this winter. Each of the 5-day sessions, scheduled for January 9 through 13, January 23 through 27, and March 13 through 17, is open to blind and visually impaired veterans throughout the country. Each camp, which will feature alpine skiing, Nordic skiing, snowboarding, and snowshoeing, has 15 available slots. Sighted guides and guests are also welcome. If the guest is a disabled veteran, the cost is the same as it is for the blinded veteran. If not, the cost is an additional $400 for food and lodging. Blinded veterans attending receive all lodging meals, in-town transportation, lift tickets, instructors, and ski equipment, the exception being clothing, which can be rented. Although airfare and an airport shuttle to and from the Steamboat Springs Ranch are the responsibility of the participants, there are several available discounts, grants, and BVA Operation Peer Support Assistance for this expense. For additional information about the programs and a link to register, send an email to Lonnie Bedwell at lonnie.bedwell@att.net or contact Stuart Nelson at BVA National Headquarters, snelson@bva.org. STARS provides life-changing experience for injured veterans, having conducted numerous programs for veterans with vision loss. Attendees gain self-esteem, independence, camaraderie, resilience, and courage through its programs. November, Veterans Day, bring momentous events to NYRG by Warner Murray. A photo accompanies this Around BVA entry. The image includes 3 items mounted on a wall at the Older Adult Center in preparation for the induction ceremony of Luther Richardson, described below. Included in the photo is a portion of the U.S. flag, a description of the Hall of Fame honor, and a chest-level photo of Luther Richardson. The caption states, "The New York State Veterans Hall of Fame inducted Brooklyn resident Luther Richardson of State Senate District 19 on November 11. Luther is a longtime active BVA member." The write-up, composed by Warner Murray, begins. For this issue of the Bulletin, I've chosen to share some significant events of the New York Regional Group with our national membership. For us in the group, of course, each of these events is meaningful by itself. Put together, however, we believe they are even more powerful in demonstrating the individual worth of our members everywhere and the value of us blinded veterans remaining active in our local communities. I begin with a sad note about the passing on August 30 of one of our faithful members, Arthur Morris, who was a regular attendee and well known at our national conventions. I feel the need to mention him and the sunset on his life in more than just a line in the remembrance section of this publication. Arthur was a longtime BVA member who held regional group positions of president, vice president, and secretary. He was equally as present in the Manhattan Blinded Veterans Support Group. Arthur was a dedicated activist for the blind in his community and statewide. His greatest accomplishments may well be his marriage to his wife of 60 years and a daughter. On a somewhat cheerier note, I mention our beloved BVA Life member in the Bronx, Enrique Sanchez, 92 years young, on December 20. Enrique and his wife, Laura, had a surprise visit from their son and daughter over the Veterans Day weekend that meant the world to them. The always chipper Enrique admits to moving a little slower these days, especially having been largely confined during the pandemic. Prior to COVID-19, Enrique used only a white cane to navigate his way around, but now indicates that a wheelchair may be necessary for movement at the upcoming national convention. Enrique believes he has attended 43 consecutive in-person conventions, starting when Jimmy Carter was president. No one but Tom Miller could top him. Transitioning to another Veterans Day highlight, our own Luther L. Richardson of Brooklyn was inducted into the New York State Veterans Hall of Fame on exactly November 11 at the Penn Wortman Older Adult Center. He was nominated and selected for the honor by New York State Senate District 19, and the presentation was made by his state senator, Roxanne Persaud. The event, which also honored all veterans and their families for their sacrifice, was also transmitted virtually via Zoom. The Penn Wortman Choir performed a musical tribute. Last but not least is mention of the New York Veterans Day Parade, always a highlight for our regional group. As big as New York is, blinded veterans have always had a role in the associated events. This year, we were mentioned at the ceremony breakfast and luncheons. After a year of dormancy due to the pandemic, the 2021 parade was once again showtime with all of the floats, organizational banners, and military bands playing patriotic hymns. There was no shortage of well-wishers saying, "Thank you for your service." Columbus chapter celebrates birthday of important founder by Elizabeth Holmes. Shown in this brief blurb is a shoulder-length shot of an older-looking gentleman attired in a coat, tie, and black hat on which a BVA patch has been sewn. The man is displaying a faint smile. The photo's caption reads, Otis Smith has played a key role in the Columbus chapter ever since he helped found the group in 2003. Liz's brief blurb commences as follows. The Georgia Regional Group's Columbus chapter celebrated the 90th birthday of Otis Smith at a local restaurant surrounded by BVA members, family members, and friends. It was a joyous event for two reasons. First, reaching the age of 90 is a grand feat, and second, Otis is one of the original founders of the Columbus chapter, which occurred in 2003. Otis Smith was born October 28, 1931, in Midland, Georgia. His grandmother, Edna Smith, and parents, Patsy Smith and Andrew Jackson, raised him to value the important things in life. He attended Mealer Hill and Manor Taylor elementary schools and received a GED in later years. In October 1951, Otis entered the United States Air Force. He retired after 23 years of honorable service at the rank of Technical Sergeant E6. After retirement, Otis attended Columbus Technical College, studying computer science and carpentry. Daughter Cynthia Golden Frazier refers to her dad as the walking, talking GPS. During our regional group travels with public city transportation, Otis can tell exactly where we are and if the driver is going in the wrong direction. He will offer shortcut directions if the driver seems lost. This is truly amazing for us to hear Otis shout out, "You're going the wrong way," when he is totally blind. Otis and Clifford Jones formed the Columbus chapter on October 15, 2003. For many years, Robert Dorsey was president, Otis was vice president, and Cliff Jones was the treasurer. Today, the Columbus chapter and Georgia Regional Group as a whole are very solid, thanks in large part to Otis's capability to hold the chapter together all these years by providing good advice and relying on a remarkable memory. Otis's hobbies include carpentry, gardening, listening to music, reading books, fishing, cooking, just to name a few. He is a member of the New Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Lithuania, Georgia. He is blessed with a smile that can melt a woman's heart. Guide Dog Committee seeks additional participation. Membership and participation in the meetings and activities of BVA's Guide Dog Committee are open to blinded veterans currently teamed with a guide or service dog, former guide dog handlers, and potential guide or service dog training candidates. Interaction throughout the year is now conducted through a Zoom meeting held on the third Tuesday of each month at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. A premise behind the establishment of BVA's Guide Dog Committee is that the extraordinary and traumatic experiences responsible for the onset of vision loss by veterans are outside the scope of understanding of members of other guide dog or service dog interest groups. The intent of the committee is to act on behalf of veterans with dogs that qualify for acceptance by VA as the dog of record, being used primarily for amelioration of medical challenges, not intending to include comfort or emotional support for non-medical reasons. For more information about the committee and upcoming meetings, contact Committee Chair Scott Quinlan at scott.quinlan@hotmail.com. National Convention Prep off and running swiftly. A black and white digital rendition of a color painting accompanies this Around BVA entry. Although filled with detail, the painting's primary feature is the Washington Monument at twilight and the reflecting pool behind it in the direction of the Lincoln Memorial. The caption says, "After 2 years of virtual meetings, BVA's 77th National Convention, live and in person in the nation's capital, is not one to be missed." The blurb begins. Mark your calendars now to attend BVA's long-anticipated 76th National Convention at the Hyatt Regency Hotel in Washington, D.C., August 22 through 26, 2022. The work of the convention committee began preparations for the 5-day event with an enthusiastic and optimistic flurry of goals and ideas at its first meeting in October. After a 2-year hiatus without a live convention, what we are looking for, more than anything else, is for our BVA members and their families to come to the convention and have a really enjoyable time, said Convention Chair and National Vice President Danny Wallace. We will still have a few of the necessary meetings, but our focus will be on outings and things to do outside the Hyatt Regency together as a membership. Examples of interest include the opportunity to touch a moon rock, marvel at the Hope Diamond, show grandchildren Dorothy's slippers, or explore Native American culture, all at the Smithsonian's 17 Washington area museums. Other treasures like the Gutenberg Bible at the Library of Congress or the Declaration of Independence at the National Archives are other examples of possible interest. Many of the museums and other historic sites are accessible and have tours designed for the visually impaired. The convention will also take on the same celebratory atmosphere originally planned for BVA's historic 75th anniversary in 2020, but abruptly interrupted 2 years ago by the COVID-19 pandemic. Gruber-Miller Scholarships available for 2022-23. BVA will award 7 total higher education scholarships for the 2022-23 academic year, 6 under the Catherine F. Gruber Program umbrella for $2,000 each, and 1 $1,000 scholarship in the name of Thomas H. Miller. The Miller Program, now in its 10th year, requires the same application process and qualifications as the Gruber Awards, except for an added emphasis on music and the fine arts. The Scholarship Committee will choose 7 total recipients and 2 alternates. The Gruber Scholarship Program is in its 39th year. Dependent children, grandchildren, and spouses of blinded veterans and those of active duty blinded service members of the U.S. Armed Forces are eligible for the scholarships. The veteran must be legally blind, and the blindness may be either service-connected or non-service-connected. Membership in BVA by the blinded veteran is not required. Additionally, to be eligible for one of the scholarships, an applicant must have been accepted for admission or already be enrolled as a full-time student in an accredited institution of higher education or business, secretarial, or vocational training school. The scholarships are intended to be used to defray a student's educational expenses, including tuition, books, and other academic fees. Scholarship payments will be made by BVA directly to the educational institution. Scholarships will be awarded on a, quote, most highly qualified, unquote, basis utilizing the following criteria: answers to questions in the application form, transcripts of high school and/or college records, 3 letters of reference, and a 300-word essay on the applicant's lifetime educational or career goals and aspirations, as well as past awards and achievements. Each scholarship is awarded for 1 year only, and the number of scholarships recipients may receive under each program is limited to 4. Application for the scholarships and additional information may be obtained from bva.org or by request via email or telephone to Administrative Director Bridget Jones, BJONES, at bva.org, 202-371-8880, extension 330. To qualify for the 2022-23 academic year, applicants must send completed applications and supporting materials so that they arrive at BVA National Headquarters by Friday, April 29, 2022. Due to time constraints related to processing the applications for the Scholarship Committee's review, applications arriving after the deadline will not be accepted. Incomplete applications will not be submitted to the Scholarship Committee. It is the responsibility of the applicant to ensure a complete application. Bagpiper Dave Barrett shares unique talent. BVA member, U.S. Coast Guard veteran, and law enforcement veteran Dave Barrett of Haymarket, Virginia, Mid-Atlantic Regional Group, was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa, RP, in 2015. His grandfather had RP, so the diagnosis was not a total surprise to him. Even so, Dave has faced all of the same challenges as he adjusts to vision loss. Dave continues to work at his federal government civilian day job with U.S. Customs and Border Protection in the field of veteran support. He spends what is left of his available hours raising money for BVA as he busks, plays music in the street or another public place for voluntary donations, in specially selected public locations in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area with his bagpipes and Irish whistles. Dave also participates in the weekly sessions of the current BVA Ambassador Training Program. If all that were not enough, Dave also gives private bagpipe and whistle lessons to gifted young student musicians in his local area, one of whom is a high school phenom who accompanied him and played at the recent Virginia Scottish Games during Labor Day weekend. My sight gets darker as every day passes, Dave muses on his YouTube channel, Vision Piping. But the trick really is to make sure your life doesn't get darker. Dave invites YouTube viewers to share in his busking experiences on behalf of BVA as he gradually experiences additional sight loss. More than 10 of his performances can currently be viewed on the channel. On July 4 of this year, Dave released an album of music entitled Starting to See, Tunes to Support Our Blinded Veterans, to give away with a request for a donation. All proceeds, he has determined, go to BVA. The album includes bagpipes, solo and band, whistles, and song. It is available in CD and also via digital download. To order a CD with a minimum donation of $15, use Venmo at Vision Piping or https://paypal.me/Vision Piping, and Dave will send out a CD once he also receives a name and an address in an email to visionpiping@gmail.com or via Facebook Messenger. The album can be downloaded at https://visionpiping.bandcamp.com/album/starting-to-see. Emerald Coast veterans receive autumn activities. 3 photos accompany this brief write-up. The first reveals a clearly happy gentleman in a pirate's fishing hat standing on the side of a boat. In his left hand, he is holding up a fishing rod, and in his right hand, he displays an orange-colored fish he has just caught, the hook still attached to the mouth of the fish. The caption states, "Daryl Goldsmith with his fresh-out-of-the-water red snapper at fishing tournament." The second photo shows 3 male blinded veterans seated at a table in the outdoors. The table is covered by a banner containing 2 renditions of the BVA seal, the BVA name, and the name of the Emerald Coast Regional Group. On the table are BVA informational pieces and promotional items. Each of the men is holding up his white cane so high that it extends far beyond the heads of each one. All are smiling broadly, except the one seated at the far right. The caption reads, "Left to right with BVA literature and giveaways galore, Paul Kaufman, Daryl Goldsmith, and Anthony Thompson enjoy White Cane Day together in the Florida outdoors." The third photo reveals 6 persons standing together, the same 3 veterans from the preceding photo. Additionally, a young lady and 2 junior ROTC cadets in full uniform, one on each side of the group. Each cadet is holding a rope that has been placed through a grommet in the banner referred to in the previous photo. It is apparent that the JROTC cadets are ready to carry and display the banner in a procession. The caption says, "Left to right prior to downtown Pensacola Parade, Pensacola High School Junior ROTC Cadet Shivers, Paul Kaufman, Sighted Guide Unique Goldsmith Myrick, Daryl Goldsmith, Anthony Thompson, and Pensacola High School Junior ROTC Cadet Moore." The short article begins, "Blinded veterans of the Emerald Coast Regional Group have reinitiated their traditional White Cane Day and Veterans Day activities after what seemed like a forever hiatus due to COVID-19. Group members marched in 2 Veterans Day parades this year, one right after the other in Pensacola and then in Pensacola Beach. It was the first time the group was asked to join the second parade, thus adding a new tradition. Emerald Coasters gathered at 8 a.m. in downtown Pensacola and again at 11 at the Elks Lodge. The Elks provided lunch and graciously made golf carts available for veterans who could not walk the parade route. Highlighting Pensacola Parade for the regional group was the voluntary assistance of junior ROTC cadets from Pensacola High School, who carried the Emerald Coast banner as the veterans marched. On White Cane Day, Director of District 5 Daryl Goldsmith, Regional Group President Anthony Thompson, and Secretary Paul Kaufman set up an informational and giveaway table in an open field at an exposition sponsored and hosted by Independence for the Blind of West Florida outside its facility. The event also featured door prizes, a cookout, and an address by Pensacola Mayor Grover Robinson III. "It was great to get together with other blind persons, both veterans and non-veterans, to learn new things," said Paul. This was especially the case after nearly 2 years of this global pandemic that has seemed to squash all social interactions. Before the fall season officially took hold, however, Director of District 5 Daryl Goldsmith added to the recent activities. He participated in the annual Soldiers on the Water deep-sea fishing tournament on September 19. The run was a success. See accompanying photo. He was accompanied by BVA National Chaplain Charles Brooks of the Florida Regional Group. The tournament begins at Harbor Docks in Destin, Florida, and becomes a 4-hour journey in the Gulf of Mexico. Soldiers on the Water serves the local combat wounded with world-class fishing to express gratitude and build camaraderie through a shared passion for the outdoors, the Gulf waters, and the sport of fishing. Columbus chapter unites for white cane activity. An accompanying photo once again reveals a table. Although there are 4 persons present, only one of the 4, a lady, is seated at the table and looking at the camera. BVA literature is seen on the table. The site appears to be a porch that leads to the entry of a red brick building. The door to the building is situated in the middle of 2 large maps that are displayed. The caption says, "Left to right at BVA-NFB Collaborative Display Table." Elizabeth Holmes, NFB's Tracy Roberts and son Kevin, and Georgia Regional Group 2nd Vice President Jerry Bentley. On October 16, the BVA Columbus chapter of the Georgia Regional Group, together with 2 members of the National Federation of the Blind's Fountain City chapter, gathered in Uptown Columbus to promote White Cane Day, sometimes called White Cane Safety Awareness Day. Members were prepared to speak, give a brief demonstration on a device of their choice, and hand out information. We were here once again returning to activity by sharing our knowledge of the white cane as one of the most important tools in the blind or visually impaired person's toolbox for enhancing the independence and quality of life of the individual, said chapter historian Ricky Lynn. Graves, Shabazz efforts invigorate NJRG. 3 gentlemen dressed in casual business attire stand together, side by side, in an accompanying photo. The man on the far left is holding a white cane and wearing a fishing hat. His mask is attached but not covering his mouth. The other 2 have their masks firmly in place. The man on the far right is wearing a BVA service cap and a jacket containing the BVA logo. The other 2 men are wearing stylish vests. There is a warehouse feel to the photo, since the background shows a few boxes and working tables. The caption states, "Left to right, Mustafa Shabazz, John Katz, Bill Graves at Best Work Industries." The summary write-up begins with this. The New Jersey Regional Group, one of BVA's strongest and largest groups going back to the national organization's early years, appears to be back on the rise. Thanks to the efforts of Bill Graves, President, and Vice President Mustafa Shabazz, the group is availing itself of opportunities for outreach and educational activities. On November 5, Bill made a personal visit to BVA National Headquarters, where he obtained brochures and other promotional materials to display at VA-sponsored Veterans Day Eve breakfast on November 10 at the East Orange VA Medical Center. The following Wednesday, November 17, Bill and Mustafa were given VIP treatment during a tour of Best Work Industries for the Blind in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. President and CEO John Katz conducted the tour, taking the men to 25 workstations, most of which were managed and/or supervised by a blind employee. It was an impressive operation, and we learned things on that tour that I knew nothing about before, said Bill. The most important of which is that private, not-for-profit organizations like Best Work are more intent than ever before on hiring as many veterans as possible. Best Work was founded in 1981 with the intent to provide employment opportunities to people who are blind or visually impaired. It began as a small contract workshop that has now evolved into a dynamic organization guided by the principles of lean manufacturing, technology and automation, and the quality management system. Training, a supportive work environment, state-of-the-art equipment, and strategic partnerships are a high priority. BestWorks' core competencies include textile manufacturing, military apparel construction, paper converting, packing, warehouse and distribution, and commercial sewing. Display tables highlight SCRG outreach. A photo of still another display table, this one standing alone without a human component, accompanies the article. The table, round in shape, includes information about the Blinded Veterans Association and the Friendly Valley Veterans Club, known as a result of a BVA poster and a Friendly Valley wooden piece containing its name. A U.S. flag and a stand is situated behind and on the left of the table. In the background is a beautiful green grassy area. The caption states, BVA promotional material overlooks the fairway of the first hole at the Friendly Valley Veterans Club. The article reads as follows. The Southern California Regional Group took advantage of 2 recent opportunities to share information and reach blinded veterans. First of the 2, held November 6, was a shared table with the Friendly Valley Veterans Club at the swap meet of the Friendly Valley Country Club. This year's meet overlooked the golf course, pictured above. Friendly Valley is a 55-plus retirement community located in Santa Clarita, California. The second opportunity came on November 10 at the annual Veterans Day tribute hosted by the Santa Clarita Senior Center. Because the center was closed on November 11, the tribute was held the day prior. BVA's display was located on the reception desk in the main lobby, along with the Santa Clarita Veterans Collaborative. Also on display were posters, including a BVA poster lining the route taken by more than 500 vehicles picking up lunches, compliments of the Senior Center. MARG members drawn to Fredericksburg 11-11 events. Two related photos go with the story. The first photo reveals three blinded veterans, each with a white cane and long-sleeved blue BVA Mid-Atlantic Regional Group shirts. The group is standing behind a wreath that is also labeled MARG Blinded Veterans Association. The two men on the left are wearing BVA baseball hats, while the lady on the far right is adorned with her black and red service cap. The group appears to be standing in a type of amphitheater with a structure of 5 pillars. Above the 5 pillars is bronze lettering that spells Our Fallen Heroes, all in uppercase letters. The caption states, left to right with ceremonial wreath, MARG member Ralph King, Secretary-Treasurer Hardy Alexander, and President Michonne Harrison. A second photo shows Michonne standing in the same general area with a lady dressed in a green blouse with a white jacket. The necklace of the latter features a U.S. flag at its very bottom. Michonne sports a serious look, while the unknown lady has a pronounced smile. In the background, portions of wreaths are visible, as are scattered ladies and gentlemen dressed in red shirts and service caps. This photo's caption reads, Michonne Harrison and Allison Hickey. The text of the entry begins, 3 members of the Mid-Atlantic Regional Group, MARG, were active participants in Veterans Day events, including a walking procession and a subsequent ceremony in the downtown area of Fredericksburg, Virginia. The events, organized by the Fredericksburg Area Veterans Council, FAVC, sparked the interest of Regional Group President Michonne Harrison, herself a resident of Fredericksburg, and she invited members of her group to participate. Hardy Alexander and Ralph King accepted the invitation and walked with Michonne 6/10 of a mile in the parade in near-perfect weather, carrying the BVA banner and adorned in their SupportBVA.org performance shirts and BVA Garrison caps. Hardy's brother, Jerry Alexander, U.S. Army retired, also walked in the procession as a sighted guide. Ralph and Hardy laid the MARG BVA wreath at the memorial site. This was a special time for Ralph, said Michonne. He had not been out of the house or participated in any events in the last year after losing the remainder of his sight to glaucoma. Michonne had previously participated in the BVA National Headquarters wreath laying at Arlington National Cemetery, but had not been involved in her hometown event until this year. Many of our members live a great distance away from Fredericksburg, so transportation was a major factor, said Michonne. Hardy and Jerry live in Hampton, a 2.5-hour drive from Fredericksburg, and Ralph lives in Stafford, still 20 minutes from Fredericksburg. They all came to my house, and we rode together from there with Jerry as our driver, she said. Jerry was a blessing. Anticipating the event and ordering the wreath was not without its stresses for Michonne, who had also contacted national headquarters about wreaths in the Washington, D.C. area. I was concerned for Hardy and Ralph since they have no sight, and, other than Jerry, we did not have any trained sighted guides to accompany us, and a fall or other injury would have been devastating, she said. I wanted to ensure that we represented MARG and BVA with dignity, decency, and professionalism. More than 300 people attended the ceremony, with guest speaker Brigadier General Allison A. Hickey, USAF retired, former VA Undersecretary for Benefits, and current President and CEO of All In Solutions, LLC, of Fredericksburg. A touching moment for me was when General Hickey referenced me and what I do for veterans, quote, take a call, make a call, and jump into action, unquote, in her speech, Michonne said. General Hickey had been directed to Michonne earlier by Lisa Gregory, past Disabled American Veterans, DAV, Chapter 7 Commander, and the current National Adjutant. Lunch was provided at the Fredericksburg Lodge of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. At the end of a long day, physically, mentally, and emotionally, I was so proud to have the opportunity to represent blinded veterans, BVA, the Women Veterans Group, and DAV in a positive light, said Michonne. I am sure this was the start of something new and am grateful and blessed to have the will, support, and BVA family that believes in me and cares enough about the organization to see this event through. As if all those activities were still not enough for one day, Michonne finally ended the day by completing the last leg of the DAV 5K on her recumbent tandem bike. She sent in a photo of herself on the bike with Warrior Pond in the background. The photo took first place for Most Patriotic, resulting in a certificate, a gift card, a scarf, and a performance shirt. Don't focus on why me details recovery, resilience. A graphic image of the book referenced here is included with this Around BVA entry. Above the main title is the description, From Motorcycle Accident to Miracle, and below it is a side view picture of a motorcycle followed by the name Kiwan M. Amy. There is no other caption. The blurb reads, In the spring of 2017, Durham, North Carolina native and now BVA member Kiwan Amy had everything going for him. At 25, the future looked promising. He had already served several years as an in-flight refueling specialist in the U.S. Air Force and had advanced to the rank of Staff Sergeant, E5. He had just 1 year left in a bachelor's degree program at DeVry University in Computer Information Systems. On an otherwise beautiful May 5 evening, Kiwan was headed home on his motorcycle to pack his bags for a weekend trip after some contemplative moments at his favorite lake. Suddenly, a Honda Accord pulled directly in front of him with no space for a safe stop. Kiwan's journey the last 4.5 years is one filled with adventure and courage. The Bulletin will relate his story in greater detail in a future issue, but until that time, his best-selling autobiography, Don't Focus on Why Me, is an inspirational read. The book is available via Amazon and Kindle Unlimited. SETX honors fellow veterans. The accompanying photo reveals an elegant room with some 15 persons seated at tables covered by white cloths. Judging by the full plates of salad, the meal had just begun. Some of the attendees are dressed casually, while 3 gentlemen in particular are wearing white dress shirts and sport coats. In one case, there was a necktie. In the middle of the room, one gentleman is standing, most likely in order to address the group. He is wearing a BVA polo shirt and baseball hat. The caption describes the photo thus. Immediate past National President Dr. Tom Zamperi stands to express thanks to SETX members for their loyalty to the chapter, the Greater Houston Regional Group, and the national organization throughout the worldwide pandemic. This section reads as follows. The Southeast Texas SETX chapter of the Greater Houston Regional Group celebrated Veterans Day and the end-of-the-year holidays together this year with a festive luncheon on November 11 at Papado's Seafood Kitchen in Beaumont. 10 SETX members, 2 Greater Houston members outside the chapter, 4 veteran guests, and 14 spouses or companions attended. The atmosphere was geared to Veterans Day, being that we held it on the very holiday, but we added the other holiday spirit by distributing gift bags to the veteran attendees, said Chapter Secretary-Treasurer Jerry Killian. SETX decided to combine the 2 activities for reasons involving both cost and travel convenience for the membership. The arrangement worked so well that it may happen again the same way next year. We plan to make this an annual event, and preparations are already underway to make November 11, 2022 even better, said Chapter President John Lee. March 28, Blinded Veterans Day, is the next big event in the forefront for the chapter. John also treated the guests to a Veterans Day tribute, which included background on BVA's beginnings. There were also remarks from past National President Tom Zamperi. Jerry said the event was a welcome one for chapter members after so long without physical interaction. The mood was upbeat, the camaraderie was great, and we received many expressions of thanks for organizing this, he added. We needed it. MARG, Richmond Chapter, lose amazing World War II stalwart. World War II veteran James Jackson, a member of the Mid-Atlantic Regional Group, MARG, together with his son Clyde for 18 years, passed away November 6. James celebrated his 98th birthday this past August 7. Mr. James was a gem, said Regional Group President Michonne Harrison, recognizing the void that now remains within both the Richmond chapter and MARG. Michonne's comment is supported by a quote in a feature story composed by Clyde almost exactly 1 year ago. When the time came for James to join BVA as a legally blind veteran, he was happy to do so. For now, James continues to bring both good humor and joy not only to his chapter and regional group, but also to his family and all who know him. Longtime regional group leader Herb Patterson represented the group in expressing the sadness its members feel. James was a strong supporter of the Richmond chapter, attending almost all the regional group meetings and arriving at the medical center for most of our events, said Herb. I called him Pop, and Pop will be missed. BVA of Tennessee hosts impressive fall activities. A photo accompanies this entry. It is an action photo of three gentlemen standing together but with a short distance separating them. The man on the left is smiling broadly. His facial expressions imply that he may even be laughing. He is the only one of the three with a BVA hat. The facial expression of a man in the middle, who happens to be holding a white cane and a leaf rake in the same hand, cannot be seen at all due to a large face mask. His seriousness is also evident because he is the only one of the three wearing work gloves. The man on the right is speaking into a microphone, indicating that the group could be spread out and numerous. The caption identifies them as follows. Tennessee Regional Group Chaplain Henry Harding, at far right, offers words of encouragement at Service Project October 9. At left, President Terry Richardson, and in center, Secretary-Treasurer Calvin Poole. The additional details of the group's activities are presented as follows. Members of the Tennessee Regional Group celebrated the opportunity to meet and work together in person with 3 autumn activities in the outdoors. On October 9, the group hosted a service project at its meeting place at the Memphis Athletic Ministries Park Golf Course to rake leaves, clearing a walk path for the public, and pick up trash along the fence. The group publicized the event and received community support. We were astounded and very thankful by the number of people who came out to help us, said Regional Group President Terry Richardson. The second event occurred October 15 in the same location in honor of White Cane Day. The occasion was a photo opportunity in which regional group members brought their white canes, their U.S. flags, and their military flags to wave in the air. Due to the rainy and windy weather, the waving was somewhat limited. On November 11, several community members again joined together with BVA members, this time to assist them with an old-fashioned game of cornhole. We showed them our version of how Veterans Day should be properly celebrated, in this case with the cornhole, Terry said. Our members were filled with pride that day in having their bravery and service acknowledged and in being able to share their feelings with the community. Feldman BVAA funds support students. The Blinded Veterans Association Auxiliary, BVAA, will award 2 2000 Renee Feldman scholarships and 1 $1,000 scholarship for the 2022-23 academic year. The annual scholarships are open to the spouses or children of blinded veterans. Membership in BVA by the blinded veterans is not required. To be eligible for a Feldman Scholarship, applicants must have been accepted at the school of their choice. The institution in question may be a vocational school, community college, four-year college, or university. The fees for the awards in all cases are paid directly to the school and are intended to defray the cost of tuition, books, and general fees. The application process for the scholarship includes supplying information about previous academic achievement, a statement of present goals and plans, a 300-word essay, and letters of reference. Completed application packets must be received no later than January 31, 2022. For details and to request an application, visit https://www.nbvaa.org educational-benefits-for-veterans.html or veterans.html or contact Scholarship Chair Sherry Nelson at 479-414-2996 or Bill Counter 3338 at AOL.com. First Day issue stamps from 1981 discovered, passed on to BVA. BVA members whose original membership predates 1981 may recall that the United States Postal Service, USPS, issued a special commemorative stamped envelope, size 6, to recognize and honor blinded veterans that year. Richard Smitty Smith, a friend and colleague of now-deceased BVA member John Fales, who was instrumental in BVA's inclusion in the First Day cover series, mailed them to BVA National Headquarters. The envelope contains a Braille overprint for the first time in U.S. postal history. The overprint is located in the top right corner of the envelope. 3 envelope styles are also overprinted with a special cachet or printed design, and the 4th is a philatelic numismatic cover with an elongated commemorative penny. Above the Braille are the words, "Remember the Blinded Veteran." The price of the envelopes was 18 cents, the same price as a first-class stamp in 1981. USPS gifted hundreds of souvenir envelopes to BVA with the first-day cancellation of August 13, 1981. John Fales still had a large personal collection of the envelopes when he passed away 3 years ago. Thanks to Smitty, BVA now has approximately 70 of each of the envelopes designed with the special cachets. The cover with the penny is the only one missing. Please contact Stuart Nelson at National Headquarters to receive a free copy of one of each of the 3 souvenir envelopes. Bulletin Editor, The Beneficiary of Museum Visit with MARG President, by Stuart Nelson. A photo of 3 casually dressed and masked ladies accompanies this final Around BVA entry. The lady on the left has a firm grip on her white cane at the top. The other 2 ladies display their name badges using lanyards. In the background to the left is a wall with a comprehensive list of all the battles that have involved the United States Army throughout history. The caption reads, "Left to right, Michonne Harrison, Susan Fazakerly-Smullen, and Ariel Waldman." The account begins. As editor of the Bulletin, I prefer not to write in the first person. The focus should be on our BVA members, what they are doing, and their views on issues and events. Occasionally, there is an exception. In this case, I became, if only slightly, a part of the story and not the reporter exclusively. As I receive notices about upcoming in-person regional group meetings or support group meetings, I often wish I could attend one here and there. Ironically, there are not many members of the Mid-Atlantic Regional Group in the Washington, D.C. area. Hence, the group meetings have typically taken place over the years in Virginia cities such as Hampton, Fredericksburg, and Richmond, all more than an hour from home and the national headquarters. On September 22, members of the MARG received a message from President Michonne Harrison. She told the group that she had spoken with Ariel Waldman, coordinator for the Alt-Ease Accessibility Program of the National Museum of the United States Army, located adjacent to Fort Belvoir here in Northern Virginia. Visits to the museum, which was dedicated and opened to the public during the pandemic, have been largely restricted to school groups and special tours. Michonne sent me a copy of the message, which outlined a special Saturday, October 9, 7:30 a.m. tour of the museum, and asked me if I'd like to accompany the group. I jumped at the opportunity for some photo opportunities of the regional group at a location less than 25 minutes from my home, especially when the date was so close to White Cane Day. For Michonne, the distance was closer to a full hour on a Saturday morning, but she told me she would still be bringing the regional group banner with her. "I still have to Uber all the way from Fredericksburg," Michonne told the group, "but I think this is a great way to advertise BVA and celebrate White Cane Day." Driving into the museum at 7:20 and a little confused by the Fort Belvoir security, I saw Michonne at an entry point to the road up to the museum. It was not the way we had planned to meet, but a call to Miss Waldman confirmed the final 3-minute route. Learning from Michonne that other members of the regional group were not able to attend, I accompanied her through security, and we checked in for what was to be one of the most fulfilling museum visits I have ever had. The depictions, sound effects, and detailed explanations were truly astounding. At the end of our 90-minute tour, we were approached by the museum's public affairs officer, one of the persons largely responsible for the accessibility program and the museum's outreach to the disability community. She said her dad used to work for BVA. This, of course, led us to ask her name and the name of her father. It was Susan Smullen Fazakerly, daughter of Major General Richard Fazakerly, an employee of BVA's Field Service Program in the late 1980s and the organization's 30th national president from 1995 until 1997. Of course, I had once been told of Susan's role at the museum by Tom Miller, but I still needed a chance meeting to connect the dots. A huge expression of gratitude to Michonne for arranging my unforgettable, personalized tour of the National Museum of the U.S. Army, and to other members of the Mid-Atlantic Regional Group, a future visit to the museum is an absolute must.